Hello everyone, and welcome to the City of Puyallup's virtual community kickoff presentation for the Puyallup Housing Action Plan. Thank you for joining me. My name is Katie Baker, and I'm the Planning Manager here at the City of Puyallup. In this presentation, we'll look at a few key takeaways about Puyallup from our Housing Needs Assessment, which we recently completed as the first step in developing our Housing Action Plan. Two pieces of community context are especially important to understanding Puyallup's housing: historical structural racism in federal, state, and local housing policy, and the tribal land rights of the Puyallup Tribe of Indians. Racial inequities in U.S. housing policy have been present for hundreds of years. Historically, policies and regulations prevented Black people from access to housing, mortgage loans, and other New Deal reforms of the 1930s. This included things like government-sponsored racial covenants that barred Black people from buying homes in white neighborhoods, the Federal Housing Administration's policy to not guarantee mortgages for Black borrowers, and redlining practices of private mortgage lenders and financial institutions that marked Black neighborhoods as risky. As a result, Black community members and other community members of color were denied access to home mortgages in ways that severely limited their ability to purchase a home. These policies led to racial segregation that we still see across the U.S. today. Communities of color continue to live with the impacts of these policies, including lower homeownership rates, which is the primary asset for most U.S. households, unequal access to high-quality education and healthcare resources, and neighborhoods with less public investment, such as tree canopy or sidewalks. As we create the Housing Action Plan, we're working to address the impacts of past injustices and racial inequities. Tribal land rights are key in the region too. The Puyallup Valley is the ancestral home of the Puyallup tribe, and white settlers began to settle in the area around 1850. The Puyallup tribe lost land in what is today the city of Puyallup through the General Allotment Act signed in 1887 with the state of Washington. Throughout the 20th century, the tribe asserted its claim on fishing rights and land claims, eventually getting key landholdings back from the Port of Tacoma. In 1990, the Puyallup tribe accepted the Puyallup Land Claims Settlement, a $162 million settlement package of land, cash, and social and employment programs. The city of Puyallup was one of the parties to this settlement. With these foundations in mind, I'd like to address one more piece of community context in the next slides: demographics in Puyallup. As shown at left, Puyallup's population is growing. From 2010 to 2019, we welcomed a net of 4,548 new residents, an increase of more than 12%. We project our population to continue to rise with an additional 11,400 residents by 2035. Regionally, two age cohorts are expected to dominate population growth and housing demand in coming years: the millennials, born 1980 to 2004, and the baby boomers, born 1946 to 1964. The aging of our population is especially notable. The right-hand graph shows that the proportion of our population over the age of 65 has grown in the past decade and will continue to grow through 2040 to a rate nearly twice the proportion in 2010. Both millennials and older adults have a diverse range of housing needs and preferences. Overall, these demographic trends imply demand for smaller, accessible homes, family-sized homes, affordable entry-level homeownership options, and continued demand for rental housing options. Home retrofits or other options for adults who might want to age in place will also be an important need. Puyallup is also becoming more racially diverse. As shown at left, from 2010 to 2018, the proportion of residents who don't solely identify as white grew from 14 to 18%, an increase of nearly 30%. Shown at right, this growth is happening mostly by people who do not identify as Hispanic ethnicity, as we see a slight decrease in the proportion of Hispanic residents over the same time frame, from 9 to 8%. For our last piece of demographic information about Puyallup's residents, I'd like to share some information about residents' incomes. As you can see in the map at left, income is not evenly distributed through the city. Dark blue and dark green neighborhoods have a median household income of greater than $75,000 per year, while light green and orange neighborhoods have median household incomes below $75,000. Neighborhoods in the southeast and southwest of the city are significantly wealthier than neighborhoods in the north and along the city's north-south center line. We also see that in Puyallup and in Greater Pierce County, incomes are increasing over time. The graph at right shows that the proportion of residents in Puyallup making over $100,000 grew from 25% in 2010 to 31% in 2018. And the proportion of residents making less than $50,000 shrank from 43% to 35% over the same time frame. If you'd like to learn more about the Housing Action Plan, check out our other short videos on our project webpage at cityofpuyallup.org/Housing Action Plan. We would love for you to share your thoughts and stay involved in the Housing Action Plan process, and we have a few ways for you to do that. Through the remainder of 2020, we have an online survey and online ideas wall for you to share your ideas with us. We hope you will reflect on the findings I shared in this presentation and consider questions like, do the housing needs assessment findings reflect your experience and knowledge of Puyallup? What's missing from the story that the needs assessment tells? Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to receiving your comments.